The knock came late at night, slow enough to feel deliberate. Marie Van Brittan Brown stopped breathing for a moment. She was alone in her New York apartment, standing perfectly still. The hallway outside her door was dark, quiet, and unforgiving. Crime in the city was rising, and everyone knew it. Police response times were getting longer, not shorter. Sometimes help came late, and sometimes it never came at all. Marie did not move toward the door. She stepped back instead. That instinct would eventually change how the modern world protects itself. But almost no one would remember her name. New York City in the 1960s was not built to keep people like Marie safe. Violent crime was climbing fast across working-class neighborhoods. Black communities were hit hardest and helped last. Calling the police often felt pointless. Marie was a nurse who worked long, exhausting shifts. Her husband, Albert Brown, worked in electronics on a different schedule. That meant Marie often came home late and alone. She walked empty hallways, knowing no one was watching. No cameras, no alarms, no safety net. This wasn't fear based on imagination. It was fear based on experience. Black women were not a priority worth protecting. The system had already made that clear. Marie understood something most people ignored. If something happened to her, help would be delayed, and delayed help often meant no help at all. That realization stayed with her. Security systems technically existed at the time, but they were built for banks, not apartments. They were built for businesses, not nurses. They were built for the wealthy, not the vulnerable. Home security was not considered a necessity. It was considered a luxury. The message was simple and brutal. If you weren't rich, your safety was your problem. Marie refused to accept that. She didn't protest in the streets. She didn't wait for lawmakers to care. She didn't ask for permission. She went home and started thinking. She asked one simple question. What if I could see who's at my door without opening it? Today, that sounds obvious. In 1966, it sounded impossible. Marie was not an engineer by training. She didn't have a laboratory. She didn't have funding or investors. She had fear, intelligence, and urgency. With help from her husband's electronics knowledge, she began designing. Not a gadget, assisted. She imagined a camera outside the door. She imagined a screen inside the apartment. She imagined being able to hear the person knocking. She imagined being able to speak back. She imagined choosing whether to open the door remotely. This was not convenient. This was survival. What Marie created was decades ahead of its time. Her system included a video camera mounted at the door. It included a television monitor inside the home. It included a two-way microphone for communication. It included an alarm button for emergencies. It even included a remote-controlled door lock. This was 1966. No internet, no smartphones, no smart homes. Marie Van Brittan Brown had invented the foundation of modern home security. She had created the ancestor of the video doorbell. She had created the blueprint for CCTV in homes. She had created safety where none existed, and she did it because the world would not protect her. In 1966, Marie filed a patent, U.S. Patent number 3,482,037. The government approved it. The invention was real. The innovation was undeniable. And then, silence. No major companies rushed to adopt her system. No headlines celebrated her breakthrough. No industry leaders knocked on her door. Her invention was acknowledged on paper, but ignored in practice. This was not an accident. If this invention had come from a white male engineer, it would have exploded. If it had come from a corporation, it would have been funded instantly. But it came from a black woman solving a problem society ignored. Her fear was not considered profitable yet, so history waited. Years passed. Crime continued to rise. Technology improved. Cities became more dangerous. Suddenly, security cameras began appearing everywhere. Alarm systems entered private homes. Intercoms and door monitors became normal. Sound familiar? Every one of these ideas traces back to Marie's patent. Her invention was everywhere. Her name was nowhere. The world adopted her ideas quietly and erased her story just as quietly. This raises an uncomfortable question. Why do we celebrate products but forget inventors? Why do we praise innovation but erase black women from history? How many people feel safe today without knowing whose fear made it possible? Marie Van Brittan Brown didn't invent home security to change the world. She invented it because the world refused to protect her. That injustice is what made her invention inevitable. And what happened after her patent reveals something even darker, because the erasure of her legacy didn't end there. The silence around Marie Van Brittan Brown did not mean her idea failed. It meant the world wasn't ready to credit her. Behind closed doors, her patent began circulating quietly. Engineers studied it. Corporations analyzed it. and systems inspired by her design slowly entered the market. Closed-circuit television began appearing in public spaces. Intercom systems became common in apartment buildings. Alarm systems moved from banks into private homes. Door cameras stopped sounding futuristic. Everything Marie imagined became normal. Everything except her name. Companies made millions selling security to families. Advertisements promised peace of mind. Marketing framed safety as innovation. But the origin story was missing. Marie Van Brittan Brown was not invited into the narrative. This wasn't a coincidence. History often rewards the product, not the person. And it almost never rewards black women first. Marie didn't have a startup. She didn't have a brand. She didn't have a platform loud enough to demand recognition. She had a patent and a purpose. Her invention was cited repeatedly by later security patents. Engineers referenced her work in technical documents. The system was foundational. The credit was minimal. This is how erasure works, not bidennial, but by omission. Marie continued living her life. She continued working as a nurse. She continued protecting her home with the system she built. She never became wealthy from her invention. She never became famous for her contribution. The world benefited while she stayed invisible. As decades passed, technology exploded. Computers became smaller. Cameras became cheaper. Networks became faster. Everything Marie designed became easier to implement, and companies scaled her idea globally. Today, millions of homes use video doorbells. People check their phones to see who's outside. Parents watch their doors while at work. Families feel safer because they can see before they open. This behavior feels natural now, but it began with fear in a small apartment. Every time someone checks a door camera, Marie's idea lives on. Every time someone speaks through an intercom, her system echoes. Every time someone avoids danger by not opening a door, her instinct repeats. She didn't just invent technology. She invented a new boundary between danger and safety. Marie Van Brittan Brown passed away in 1999. There were no major tributes, no national recognition, no household name status. The world moved on using her ideas, still not saying her name. Only later did historians begin correcting the record. Only later did educators start uncovering her story. Only later did people realize the truth. Home security did not begin in Silicon Valley. It began with a black woman refusing to feel helpless. This story is not just about invention. It is about who gets remembered. It is about who gets erased. It is about how fear can become genius when survival is on the line. Marie didn't wait for protection. She built it herself. She didn't wait for recognition. She accepted invisibility so others could feel safe. That is the quiet cost of innovation from the margins. The next time you see a door camera, remember Tease. It was not created for convenience. It was created for survival. It was born from a system that failed someone and transformed into a system that protects millions. Marie Van Brittan Brown changed how the world defines safety, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. And history may have tried to forget her, but the world still lives inside her idea.